I love this time of year where we can reflect back on the plants that did really well this season. Hi, I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings, and in today's video, we're going to actually take a look back at the top 10 selling proven winter annuals in 2025. Some of these we may find as a surprise, others may come as no surprise at all. And it's always exciting to see how this list changes from year to year. And certain plants just always are in the top 10. So we'll take a look at those as well. But we're going to start the list off at the bottom with number 10. And this is the Supertunia Vista Fuchsia. Supertunia Vista Fuchsia is part of that Vista series, which many of you have grown to love and definitely recognize that Vista name. Vista Fuchsia, with the proper watering and fertilizing, can get 18 to 24 inches tall and up to 36 inches wide. It is definitely a very hard working annual that puts on a fantastic show of color. The Vista Fuchsia likes to be planted in full sun, although it can handle a little bit of part sun as well. If you have it on the east side of your house, getting sun from sun up until about noon, I think you'll find that that might be enough sun to really let that plant shine in your landscape. As with all petunias, they're hummingbird attractors. They also attract those butterflies and bees. So you really can't go wrong if you're looking to attract nature to your landscape with the Supertunia Vista Fuchsia. Number 9, and this is one of my favorites. It's a Super Belle, and it's called Super Belle Grape Punch. Super Bells are a little bit smaller flower than the petunias or the Supertunias. Even though they're smaller though, they really do pack quite a punch of color. No pun intended there. Super Belle's Grape Punch is a gorgeous, vibrant purple with a really deep, dark eye. And I think with the Punch series, you're going to find all of the varieties in the Punch series have that nice, deep eye. And that contrast really is quite striking, especially too when you pair it with other of your favorite annuals. Grape Punch likes to be grown mostly in containers and in hanging baskets. So it's not a fan of being planted in the ground. They really do need to have excellent drainage to perform to their top performance. So they will get about 1 to maybe 2 foot tall, or I'm going to say tall. I actually mean like they'll trail up to about 2 foot in a hanging basket or container. So they really do put on quite a show of color as well. They like to be grown in sun to part sun locations. So if you've got your westward facing or even those eastward facing locations where you're getting at least about 6 or so hours of sun, the Super Bells are going to really do fantastic. They too, like petunias, are great for attracting hummingbirds, bees, and butterflies to the garden. Number 8 is another Super Belle, and this is, I think, one of those Super Bells that goes with just about any color. So it's Super Belle Yellow. Super Belle Yellow has been around for quite some time and is always just such an easy color to work with. It's a nice, vibrant yellow. Maybe even a little bit more golden than it is pale. So it's the perfect shade of yellow. It can trail 1 to 2 foot long in your containers and spreads. It's hard to say when you're talking about a container, right? Like it can spread 1 to 2 foot, but what does that really mean? Like in a container, your containers usually aren't 2 foot wide, so it's not like it's going to spread 2 foot. So I guess the best way to describe how a Super Belle works in a container or in a hanging basket is it's going to fill that basket and container out nicely, especially when planted with other of your favorite annuals. And it usually will trail at least 12, but oftentimes if you fertilize it properly, up to 24 inches, and creates just a very nice canopy trailing over in hanging baskets and in containers. Number 7 is actually one of the favorites here at Garden Crossings, and this is a plant that we use in mass in our landscapes. We thought for sure a couple years ago it was going to be edging out towards the number 1 variety, but it hasn't made it there yet. Not to say it won't, because I have absolute faith that the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry at some point is going to get close to that number 1 position. Supertunia Vista Jazzberry is a nice shade of purple. It's more of a plummy purple, I guess maybe we could say, with a little bit more pink tones to it. It's not like a deep, rich purple, but it's more of a nice pinkish purple, I guess is how I can say it best. And I love the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, not only in the landscapes here at Garden Crossings, but also in our container combinations. So Vista Jazzberry is another hard working annual. So one plant can get 24 to 36 inches wide. So a lot of people, when they're talking about petunias, I know I hear this all the time. Oh, I don't love petunias. Like, I don't like to sit and pick at them. I don't want to deal with them. My memory is my grandma in the garden picking at her petunias to keep them looking good all year long. And let me tell you, that is not the case with Supertunias. These are not your grandmother's petunias. I've said that before. These are the no-pick petunias. They're self-cleaning, so they're going to just continue to flower all summer long. They don't need to be picked at because they don't come from seed. So some of the old-fashioned petunias that came from seed, you constantly have to pick at them to keep them blooming throughout the season. But with these are sterile varieties, and their job is one job, and that is to continue to put on flowers and to put on color all summer long. Now, I will say with the Supertunias, and really, any annual, it's going to perform best if you feed it. The saying is, feed them and they'll be fabulous. So we do recommend the Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer, feeding them about every 1 to 2 weeks, just to keep those annuals fed and looking fantastic all summer long. So as mentioned, Jazzberry is an excellent landscape plant. One plant will fill out a lot of space. So back to those old seed petunias of days gone past, you'd plant them in the ground and they just create kind of this clump, this mound of just meh looking color. Where these Supertunias nowadays, they just spread and perform. So one plant literally can fill out a 3x3 square in the garden. So you don't have to plant 5 or 6 or 7 plants to get the look that one Supertunia Jazzberry will give you. Supertunia Jazzberry likes to be planted in full sun and part sun conditions. The next plant, number 6, and this is another one that's been around for quite some time, and I'm sure a lot of you have used this in your combinations. It's the Supertunia Bordeaux. Bordeaux features a really beautiful purple and white veined looking flower. So you're getting kind of that bicolor look going on. Again, it's a nice versatile color that blends with many flower colors. It likes to be planted in hanging baskets, containers, or it also too can be planted in the ground. And it'll get about a foot tall or so by about 2 foot wide. So not quite as vigorous as those Vistas, but it still does a really nice job with filling out containers and hanging baskets. The pollinators love to hang out around the Supertunia Bordeaux. Number 5 on the list is another Superbells. And when this Superbell was first introduced, I don't even know how long it's been, probably a good 10, maybe 12 years ago, the Superbell's Lemon Slice. I thought this was the coolest plant ever. It's got gorgeous yellow and white stripes on it, and it is just the perfect yellow. It's not too pale and it's not too golden yellow. It's just that perfect shade of yellow. And the thing I like about using Lemon Slice in containers or in hanging baskets is because it's a bicolor, it's offering 2 colors in one plant, but also too, the texture of the plant is really cool. A lot of people will comment when they see those striped flowers and are just like, wow, that is something different I have not seen before. And Lemon Slice definitely is one of those plants that is a head turner, and obviously landing in the number 5 spot is a top choice for many people who are creating containers and hanging baskets. It too likes to be planted in full sun to part shade locations and also does attract those hummingbirds and butterflies to the garden. In the number 4 spot, now we kind of are shaking it up a little bit, and I was wondering how long would it take before we were getting off a petunia or a Calibrachoa Superbell, and it's the number 4 spot that has just shaken it up a little bit. This is the Euphorbia Diamond Frost. Yeah, for those of you who have used it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Diamond Frost is a very versatile annual that can be planted in containers, hanging baskets, or in the landscape as well. In fact, we use Diamond Frost in our waterfall garden here at the greenhouse this year, and it put on such a beautiful show of color. The flowers themselves are white and they're very, very dainty. Even the foliage itself is very dainty. So it's not a plant that's going to have a big punch of color like a petunia, but because there are so many flowers on this plant, although small, they really do put on quite a show. It's the perfect filler. So in containers or even in the landscape, it's just one of those plants that just nicely fills in the garden, really wispy. It only gets about a foot to maybe a foot and a half tall and a foot and a half or so wide. So it forms a nice mounding habit. And it's just, yeah, if you're looking for something to just kind of fill in the gaps or just to add a little something extra to that basket or that container, Diamond Frost definitely is that something extra annual. It can be planted in full sun to part shade locations. Although it does handle some light shade as well, you just might find that the plant's not quite as full as if it did get a little bit more of that sunshine. Now, it's not really a big pollinator attracting annual, but that's okay. You're going to be planting it with other things that are going to be more beneficial to the pollinators anyway. Number 3 is a quite unique plant, and this is the Blew My Mind. If you are looking for one of the most fantastic blue color flowered, and when I say blue, I mean true blue flowers, because a lot of time in the plant world, when we're referring to blue, we're referring to purple. So purple and blue are kind of interchangeable words in the flower world. But Blew My Mind is a true blue flower that is drought tolerant and loves full sun. It has a mounding habit and it gets about maybe 6 to 12 inches tall. And it's kind of like a little bit of a spreading mound. And I don't mean spreading like spreading, but just kind of a nice little mound. As I mentioned, it is a knock 'em dead drought tolerant plant once it's established. And that's true of any plant that's listed as drought tolerant. It does have to get established before you can just say, forget you, I'm not watering you. Because, yeah, with any plant, they do need to have some water to get established. But once this is established and is happy in its location, it's not going to be one of those annuals that needs to be watered every day to keep it looking good all summer long. So it's very forgiving if you miss some waterings or if you're in an area maybe that has really well drained soil. It's not going to do good for those of you who have soil that holds a lot of water. It's not going to love that. So if you have a place in the garden, or if you're somebody who maybe doesn't get around to watering your planters as often as maybe you should, Blew My Mind is a great choice and such a fantastic color as well. The number 2 plant is Supertunia Royal Velvet, which again, I am sure a lot of you who have planted up containers and hanging baskets have used the Royal Velvet Supertunia in your planters. It's a very rich purple, like a nice deep royalty color purple. It goes well with any color combination. So if you're somebody that likes to kind of skew your baskets more towards your primary colors with your reds, your yellows, or even your oranges, it goes well with that color scheme. Or if you're somebody that likes to go maybe a little bit more softer with like the pinks, the light purples, the light yellows, it goes great with those as well. So very versatile with its color. It'll get about a foot or so tall, maybe a foot and a half tall, to about a foot and a half to 2 foot wide if you're planting it in the ground. If you're planting it in a container or a hanging basket, it's going to have a nice trailing habit, again, filling out those planters really well. It likes to be grown in full sun to part shade locations. And again, with the petunias, it is a great plant for attracting the hummingbirds and the butterflies and some of those pollinator bees to the garden. Now we're down to the number 1 top selling proven winner annual for 2025. Does anybody have a guess what that might be? I'm sure some of you are thinking right now, and I'm sure some of you are right. The number 1 top selling proven winner annual in 2025 is once again, and for many years, the Supertunia Vista Bubblegum. If you have not tried any of the Supertunias before from Proven Winners and you just want to dabble in them and you just want to try one, I would recommend, as obviously many other gardeners have done themselves, is to plant the Supertunia Vista Bubblegum into your landscape. This plant is a workhorse in the garden. One plant can get 12 to 24 inches tall and 36 inches wide. It doesn't take a lot of Supertunia Vista bubblegum to create a big impact in your garden. If you want to have those neighbors talking, if you want to have heads turning, plant yourself a few Vista bubblegum in your landscape, and you are surely going to be the attention of the neighborhood. They'll get about 1.5 foot tall to about 2 to 3 foot wide, and full sun to part sun locations. Pollinators, again, the hummingbirds, the bees, the butterflies. And as I mentioned earlier on, the ticket to getting these plants looking fantastic and staying fantastic all summer long is this saying: feed them and they'll be fabulous. Think of yourself. If you don't have water, if you don't have food, you're not going to do well. And that's true with plants as well. People who are successful with the most beautiful gardens around are those that are out in their gardens watering them regularly, which can be every 1 to 2 days, depending on how hot it is. And they're out there fertilizing them at least once a week. And for those of you who can't get out once a week, even if you can do it every other week, anything is going to be better than nothing. Giving those plants that fertilizer that they need just keeps them looking great all summer long. It keeps the greens greener, it keeps the flowers coming, and it keeps your plant looking fantastic all summer long. So if you haven't tried the Supertunia Vista bubblegum, I would put that on your wish list for 2026, and you can be one of the gardeners who are enjoying this beautiful #1 top selling annual in the country. If you have any questions or comments on any of the plants in today's list, please feel free to leave them below. If you're new to our channel, we welcome you to subscribe. And we're going to be doing a lot of videos like this winter. Obviously, we're located in West Michigan, which is a zone 6A. And there's not a lot going out in the landscape right now. So there's not a lot I can show you. But what I can do is I can educate you on plants for certain areas in your garden. So this is where, if you have something that you would like me to talk about this winter, please leave it in the comments below. If there's a series you're looking for, plants for drought, shrubs for drought, maybe you want native perennials, any type of thing like that. If there's a list that you would like me to compile and create for you a video on, let me know, because I'm looking for suggestions of what you, our viewers, are wanting to hear more about. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.